News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
KBNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by U&I Furniture. Among the Utah Department of Health's Monday report of 21 new COVID-19 deaths since Friday are two men from Cache County, one between 45 and 64 years of age and the other older than 85. Both were hospitalized at the time of death. The updated list of Utah's 3,661 COVID deaths during the pandemic includes 191 from Cache, Box Elder, and Rich counties. There were 2,269 new cases included in the weekend total of new coronavirus positives in the state of Utah. With that, the Bear River Health Department reported 154 new coronavirus cases since Friday. A total of 34,291 residents of Utah's three northern Utah counties have contracted the virus. Among those, 33,131 are described as recovered. To date, 1,599 have been hospitalized in the district. KBNU News Time is 4:06. KBNU weather tonight, partly cloudy this evening, then mostly cloudy. Low around 30, south winds 10 to 20 miles an hour, and a slight chance of rain on Tuesday, especially a slight chance in the morning, and then rain likely in the afternoon. High temperature in the mid-40s with those south winds again, 10 to 20. Rain and snow Tuesday evening, then snow likely after midnight. And Tuesday night, Wednesday morning could see 1 to 3 inches on the valley floor, low near 20. Slight chance of snow Wednesday morning, cloudy and then partly cloudy in the afternoon. High temperature around 30. It's been to 47. It's 45 right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. Always the best prices on the best parts, like heavy-duty Napa 15W40 engine oil for $12.49 a gallon. Get an LED garage tri-light bulb for just $19.99. And ice melt, Blue Heat ice melt, 50-pound bag, $8. 5 locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores from Preston to Providence.
The family's coming home for the holidays, and you'll need sofas to sit on, beds to sleep in, and tables to eat at. Upgrade your furniture for less than you think at U&I Furniture. Their number one selling mattress is a Therapeutic Queen mattress for $3.99. An upgrade to a Maloof for only $5.99. Take home a good deal on an American-made sofa love or a recliner from Franklin, Southern Motion, Broyhill, and Lane. And their most popular dining set seats 6 with 4 chairs and a bench for $8.99. Get your home holiday ready at the place where there's always a better buy. U&I Furniture, 28 West 1st North, downtown Logan.
KBNU News Time is 4:08. A 31-year-old Logan man is headed to jail after previously admitting to stealing more than $50,000 in supplies from his employer. Mike Perry was ordered to report to the Cache County Jail by 5 p.m. Tuesday to serve 3 months behind bars. Micah was sentenced during a virtual hearing in First District Court this morning. He pleaded guilty last month to 1 count of theft and 1 count of communications fraud, both second-degree felonies. In August 2020, he was working at a building supply company in Logan. He would take materials that had been ordered by customers and keep them for himself. Most of the $50,000 in goods were later recovered by law enforcement. During today's sentencing, defense attorney David Perry said his client was taking full responsibility and was remorseful for what he did. He also pointed out that the defendant had no criminal history. Micah Perry said that he was sorry for what he did. He expressed hope that he could move forward with his life and put the conviction behind him. Cache County Deputy Attorney Jacob Gordon argued for a jail sentence, pointing out that Micah had taken advantage of the people he worked for. He also explained that there were thousands of dollars in supplies originally stolen. Judge Brandon Maynard sentenced Micah Perry to 90 days in jail, also ordering him to complete a cognitive behavior course and anti-theft class. And a Utah firefighter who uses medical marijuana for chronic back pain has sued Ogden City. saying he was unlawfully suspended from duty for refusing to surrender his prescription card. The Standard Examiner reports that Levi Coleman said the fire department and city discriminated against him in violation of the Utah Medical Cannabis Act. The city's chief administrative officer says the city has concerns with the use of controlled substances by public safety workers. The president of Professional Firefighters of Utah tells the Salt Lake Tribune they are helping represent Coleman because the city is not following state law. KVNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Get your news from KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Took my crashed up Chevy to Mako. Look at it now.
After my accident, Mako fixed my BMW. Handled insurance, rental car, it was easy. That's why customer satisfaction is so high.
So choose Mako for collision. And if you need repairs, check out Mako now.
Do you have damage from the recent snowstorm? Mako Collision Repair and Auto Painting Centers can help. Mako guarantees the repairs and will get you back on the road fast. If you're paying for the repair yourself, Mako can save you up to 33% compared to other body shops and dealers. Bring your snow-damaged car to Mako today.
On the next Handle on the Law.
There is no reason you can't say I want a brand new computer because the $600 screen is broken. You would legally be entitled to $600. I don't think you're entitled to anything. All you can do is sue your boyfriend for negligent parental supervision. And the defense is, hey, my kid went up there and broke the computer. The law or the court would say, Linda, things happen in life.
It's Handle on the Law, Saturdays from 1 to 4 on News Talk KVNU, the voice of Northern Utah.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
182 over 100. And I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest. And then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life.
A lot of people don't understand, including myself, I didn't, now I do, the impact of having a stroke.
My memory is shot.
When I woke up, I couldn't speak.
Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
It's a new life, but I'm going to make it better. I'm coming back. Ask your doctor, check your blood pressure.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
For the people.
We are waiting.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People, hour one of today's show, Monday, December 13th. I'm Jason Williams, Bill Walter here in the studio as well, and kicking things off here today with a potpourri of big headlines from around the state over the weekend, things that made a splash and got a lot of conversation online, and some items shared by lawmakers. It's been an active weekend, to say the least, as lawmakers head into the holiday season, followed immediately by the January kickoff of the 2022 legislative session. They're starting to get more active online. So there was, again, a lot of activity online over the weekend, lawmakers sharing articles and hints at bills in what was probably not a coordinated effort, but definitely something where a lot of the legislature was of the same mind, the mind to share. So topping the list as far as biggest trends in Utah on Utah political Twitter was a story shared by a lawmaker that had a lengthy title. The short and sweet of this article was a lawmaker sharing this saying, "We don't have a labor shortage." Well, that's a surprise to a lot of people in a lot of different industries, right, that a Republican lawmaker would share such a thing when they are experiencing basically a labor shortage. as the report from the Utah Department of Workforce Services a couple of weeks ago showed, there are 3 job openings for every one prospective employee, every one person looking for a job, 3 job openings. That could technically, I think fairly, be described as a labor shortage. But whoa, the lawmaker said. Read the article. So I did, and so did many others, and it's more nuanced than you'd think. This isn't a Utah Republican lawmaker challenging the data and saying there is no labor shortage. It's a Utah Republican lawmaker saying we need to think about what is actually going on out there in the economy as we head into the legislative session, as we craft tax and economic policy. And one of the reasons for that is calling it a labor shortage doesn't really entirely sum it up. And the single point that this lawmaker here in Utah was making, this is a lawmaker, by the way, from the red area of Salt Lake County. There are some red outskirts there in the Salt Lake area. This lawmaker said that this report that was reported on by Business Insider shows that there isn't a labor shortage in the traditional sense, meaning that in a traditional sense there's a labor shortage in Utah because there just aren't enough workers to fill the open jobs. The article argues that if you really crunch Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers for not just the state of Utah but nationwide, you'll see that there are actually plenty of workers for all of the job openings. They just haven't been enticed back in yet. They're holding out, feeling that a better offer is coming their way. They're holding out feeling that some conditions might need to be met before they step up and take back that job that they were maybe laid off from in 2020. They're finding that women who are not currently seeking work would gladly do so if they have better options for childcare, especially here in the Intermountain West. That was a glaring highlight in the report. So the lawmaker said, I'm saying this is more complicated than we think. It's not going to be enough to throw the traditional things at this. If we want to do something about the labor shortage, we've got to accept the fact that there are plenty of prospective employees out there that just need to be convinced to start looking for work again, or convinced to actually accept a job rather than hold out for something better that might come along. And that's very different than just not having people to entice back into the workforce. So, lawmakers said it's going to be a challenge for legislators to reach out to industry leaders, lobby groups, and even labor groups and say, what is it that people need to see to come back? The report, by the way, is written by a statistician named Daniel Zhao. He authored this. It's called the Glassdoor's Workplace Trends for 2022 report. And I've linked to it on our Facebook page if you'd like to read it. But what it says, basically, Zhao wrote in his report, I would say labor shortage is kind of a tricky term. It does imply that there aren't enough workers available. And what we do know from the data is that there are a significant number of workers on the sidelines who would be willing to come back and were employed at the start of 2020 if the conditions were right. The trouble, he said in the report, is that the conditions aren't right. The challenge is figuring out what those conditions are. What are these employees waiting for, prospective employees waiting for? He suggests that employers to understand this, and lawmakers, as Utah lawmakers will be doing in January in that legislative session, look specifically to the 25 to 54-year-old age group. He said this is considered the prime age of workers, 25 to 54, and that number currently is down 1.1 million people. 1.1 million people employed in February of 2020, not employed today, despite the fact that the same jobs in most cases, many cases, that they were working at are available once again. They're not going back to those jobs. Some of that, Zhao says, might be opportunities that have arisen to be up-trained, to learn a new skill, to get into a new field, a new career, a new job line or a new line of work, and that education can take some time. That might be a part of it. But he says the data implies that of the Bureau of Labor Statistics data he's looked at, there are 67 unemployed workers for every 100 job openings in the month of October. He said that is a larger number than can be accounted for by, well, some people are out there now getting further education. He said, I think there's a difference between a labor shortage and employers finding it difficult to hire and retain. And I believe what we're looking at here is employers finding it difficult to hire and retain. That requires a different public policy response than an actual labor shortage. Check it out. Utah Republican lawmakers shared this over the weekend, and it is the biggest trending story in Utah political Twitter. Elsewhere in the news over the weekend, last week, Senator Mike Lee, in an unsuccessful attempt to shut down the government, to stop a vote on a bill that, well, it's complicated. He wanted to block the Biden administration's vaccine mandate for private businesses. And he decided to do that through a government funding debate. It didn't work. It was a political stunt, and Senator Mike Lee took some heat for it. The previous shutdown, triggered by Senator Ted Cruz and Senator Mike Lee several years ago, cost Utah a lot of money, and state leaders were not happy, the senator, for going this route. Senator Lee, though, took to the internet over the weekend to defend his decision, and it relates to our first story that was also trending over the weekend here in Utah, which is it's a job-related story. Senator Lee said he felt compelled to do this because he believes, from the information he's been reviewing, there are close to 55,000 jobs that will either be eliminated or suddenly fall empty if the mandate on private businesses with more than 100 employees goes into effect. The mandate at this point is stalled out in two different court processes, and an argument has been made that the effectiveness of the mandate announcement has already been achieved with some of the spikes in vaccination rates we've seen over the last couple of months since that announcement. At this point, who knows what happens? I don't make a prediction on what the courts might do, but Senator Lee says if this mandate goes into effect, he believes the evidence suggests 55,000 jobs will be lost. And finally, over the weekend, a big story, op-ed from Rusty Cannon of the Utah Taxpayers Association. A lot of popular sentiment growing for this bill coming in 2022 in the Utah legislative session to eliminate the state sales tax on food. It is something that has brought a bipartisan coalition together. It's one of those bills that's getting so much hype you almost can predict it's going to sail through and be the big champion achievement that lawmakers crow about as the session ends 45 days after it begins in January. And then, some kinks. Rusty Cannon of the Utah Taxpayers Association is concerned. He says eliminating Utah's sales tax on food is actually a bad idea. Now, of course, the Utah Taxpayers Association is a lobby group. They are not just a review group, so don't be, the name can be a little misleading there. They are a lobby group, and they do lobby for business interests. But Rusty makes an argument worth reading. He writes in the op-ed, since 2008, purchases of unprepared food for groceries have been taxed at a reduced state tax rate of 1.75% instead of the full state tax rate of 4.85%. So there's another 1.25% local sales tax on food for a total of 3%. However, we're only discussing the 1.75% state sales tax rate. He says the first fact, which is surprising to most, is that the current lower sales tax on food overwhelmingly benefits the wealthy more than the poor. The most common knee-jerk reaction to calls for lowering or eliminating the sales tax on food is that it helps the poor and those that are struggling financially, but the current 3.1% exemption benefits wealthy most. And cutting or eliminating the sales tax on food will hand most of them benefits to them, meaning the rich. Cannon writes that what would be a better approach to achieving the same desired end would be to create more sales tax exemptions based on income levels rather than doing away with the sales tax and then do away with some of the other exemptions on higher income earners and leave the sales tax in place. We'll see what happens, but this is the first counter argument I've heard. If you'd like to check it out, I've linked to the op-ed from the Utah Taxpayers Association on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
At Winco, we do everything to save you money with low prices and top quality products throughout the store. Big savings on fresh meat, produce, seafood, and deli. And even bigger savings in our huge bulk item section. At Winco, there's never a membership fee to shop top quality products at low prices.
Now open in Logan at 1341 North Main Street.
Cares for Christmas is dedicated to helping families this holiday season. We are so grateful for all the donations that have been brought in so far this year, but we still need your help. Gift cards are a great way to support all of our families in need.
Gift cards for things like gas, food, and clothing can help families put their money towards other necessities.
Please bring all donations to the Cache Valley Media Group. For more information, please visit caresforchristmas.org. caresforchristmas.org. And thanks for caring this Christmas.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. I'm Jason Williams. A very special guest joining us to talk about something that has been going on for a while now and will continue for a while longer. In fact, this started November 1st, but goes up until December 31st. And I can honestly say this is one of the easiest things you should be interested in getting involved in because it goes to such a great cause. We've had him here on the show many times, but if you're not familiar with the Family Place here in Cache Valley, I've posted some links on our Facebook page, and the work they do is, no overstatement, irreplaceable work here in the Valley. And they have a generous matching donor up to $100,000. A generous donor will match funds raised from the community. So they're asking the community to step up and help them out. Joining us right now from the Family Place, we have with us Jennifer Anderson. And Jennifer, appreciate you taking some time for KVNU today. This had to be exciting for you guys when you got, I assume this was a phone call maybe or an email. Someone reached out and said, hey, I'll match up to $100,000.
Yes, thank you. We actually have a generous family of donors that said, you know, we also believe in what your mission is and what we've been doing for almost 40 years. Next year will be 40 years for the Family Place. And so they have offered to match dollar for dollar up to $100,000 so that any donations made, like you said, from November 1st to December 31st will be doubled. So our community can double the impact for the services that we're going to provide and give a gift all year long with what people are doing right now during the holidays.
That is amazing. This is now your work with the Family Place. You, as the Chief Relationship Officer, this is what you do, right? You build relationships with other nonprofits, other organizations, businesses here in the Valley, but also with the community. And the work done at the Family Place, I'll use this phrase again, Jennifer, it is one of a kind of organization, what you guys are doing. Can you tell listeners a bit about what your mission is?
Yes, thank you. So our mission is to strengthen families and protect children. So we do that in a variety of ways. Like you said, we do it for the one. We try to make a difference for the one. Whether that be a family or an individual or a child, so that we can provide services to them. So we have therapy, we have education, we have our kids' place, which provides either care on a weekly scheduled basis or respite kind of emergency care. And then we also have the only children's shelter in northern Utah. So we are able to provide these services. We focus on prevention. While we absolutely have services to help with intervention, people that have experienced trauma, we provide events, classes, resources. We hope to do it free of cost, and if not, then at a very affordable cost for them to help them have those stronger families and to protect our children.
What's fascinating to me, Jennifer, looking through the Family Place website, which for listeners, again, thefamilyplaceutah.org, is a good one, first stop there, and then you can click on down to local levels. But the fundraising and the giving through the Family Place, it's fascinating to me. It's so targeted and in a good way. Like I'm looking here at, and this is going to get me to open my wallet as soon as we go to a break here, I'll tell you. But this is, you can donate $20, and that $20 will go towards giving a child in need a black lab stuffed animal,
that will serve as sort of a proxy therapy dog. So children who have been through sometimes unimaginable events, you can buy them a stuffed puppy for them to cuddle. I mean, that is so... how can you say no?
Right. And just so you know, with our donor match, you, by contributing for that one puppy, you just actually bought 2. So that donor match will then double that contribution for the one. So it's really exciting to us because, like I said, it's something that we can provide then all year long, not just for Cache County, but also Rich and Franklin counties. We serve in those counties as well. And there are so many ways that people can do it. We actually have our starfish giving trees out in the community that people can look for. We've already listed several of those businesses that have partnered with us. So just like that item that you saw on our website, those are on cards throughout the community on trees. And so people can come select whatever speaks to them with our services, take that, and then Venmo, the Venmo code's on the back, Venmo that to us, and it just got doubled. So we keep track of all the things that people are contributing. But if they don't find a tree, then they can go online like you're going to do and find something that speaks to them as well.
That's amazing. The FamilyPlaceUtah.org again is the website, and I've linked to that on our own Facebook page if you'd like to find it there later. Donate now, double your impact. This is called the Starfish Holiday Giving and Donor Match, and that is up to $100,000. Generous donors will match double your giving at this point up until December 31st. As Jennifer has mentioned, the Family Place provides therapy services, educational services, kids' place services, housing, and more. Jennifer, you guys also do some amazing, when you say strengthening families, that can mean so many different things. And I'm looking here from events called Finding Wholeness with Horses to something adults might be interested in, strengthening the couple relationship in the household. That's a class that is coming up, right? December 1st?
Yes, absolutely. And we have so many classes you can look up on our website. And again, those classes are either very inexpensive or free. We also have mental health first aid classes that we offer to the community. We all know that for each one of us, our mental health has come forefront for each one of us in our families, where we're really having to look at it and get those tools that, where do we find them? Where do we find those resources? Well, one of the places is the Family Place. And that class is absolutely free, and that's on our website as well. And we have another one that focuses on mental health for adolescents. And so we're really trying to speak to those needs in the community that we know are there, but being able to be a vetted, trusted resource to the community to provide those tools.
Sure. And parents today, it has to be a bit overwhelming, right?
Yes, it is.
To say the least.
I can speak personally about that, yes.
Yeah, Jennifer, we were starting the show talking about some of the challenges of social media and what the big platforms are feeding us on a daily basis, but it's easy to forget that, this all comes down to real people and real... Here on the show, we can talk about things in a broad, almost philosophical sense. Organizations like the Family Place, you guys are out there dealing with the literal lives of families, of children, and doing some great work. And for listeners, again, this holiday season, you can double your donation up until December 31st. All donations to the Family Place Utah will be doubled by generous donors, as Jennifer said, a generous family of donors, and go towards all the services that the Family Place provides. Many of them we've mentioned here, but we've just touched the tip of the iceberg. And Jennifer, I know that even though you guys have this Starfish Donor Challenge going on, even though you have all of these classes, you never stop there at the Family Place. Headed into the holiday season, what else can parents watch out for coming from the Family Place?
Well, we have amazing events that happen all year long. Out to play with the Family Place. We also have different events like Princess Party, Marvelous Adventure, all kinds of things so that families can come out and they can see just how resilient we are as individuals and families. And by having the tools and the opportunities to connect, making meaningful connections with each other, that makes our families stronger. It makes our community stronger. And for us, every amount makes a difference. So we're not asking people to go above what they feel like they can give, and not just monetarily. We have opportunities for people to volunteer and give of their time. We are looking for people that are talented and have resources that they want to partner with us, and we value that as a contribution as well. So, of course, monetarily, we love to see that donor match be met and throughout the year to help sustain our services, but we are aware and appreciative of all those different ways that people give, and they do that all year long. So we can keep doing what we do all year long with our mission.
It's good stuff and important work that they're doing here. And again, no other organization in Utah is really doing what the Family Place does for the Cache-rich and Franklin County areas. The Starfish Holiday Giving and Donor Match goes until December 31st. As Jennifer has mentioned here, if you can't give, I totally understand. You can maybe give some of your time. You can maybe spread the word, get word out to others who might be interested. Watch for these red cards on trees throughout the valley. That's kind of a fun little angle on that.
It is.
I
and
like
if you want
that.
to be a business to host one of the trees, so maybe you just want to provide the opportunity for the rest of the community to be able to participate in the donor match and giving, we would love for you to contact us so you could host a tree.
Very nice. All contact information can be found two different places, by the way. The Family Place website, thefamilyplaceutah.org, based right here in Logan, Utah. Or you can find them on Facebook. Simply search for The Family Place on Facebook or follow the link I've shared on our own Facebook page. Our guest again has been Jennifer Anderson of the Family Place Utah. And Jennifer, appreciate your time today. For listeners, please give what you can, whether that's your time, whether that's spreading the word, whether that's making a donation. At very least, go in and buy one of these puppies for a child in need, and you'll double your donation with that single purchase through the Starfish Holiday Giving and Donor Match. Again, it runs up until December 31st. TheFamilyPlaceUtah.org is the website. And Jennifer, again, thanks for taking some time for KVNU today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, and thanks to the whole community.
Absolutely, and we'll speak again soon.
Yes, thanks.
For listeners, appreciate your time as well. Please stay tuned. We'll be back with more right after this.
KVNU News Time is 4:37. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. A school bus driver has been cited after a bus rolled off a snowy road in northern Utah last week. The Standard Examiner reports no one was hurt in the accident Thursday morning on State Route 66 in Morgan County. Police say the driver and one student were on board when the bus slid off the road and rolled onto the driver's side. Utah Highway Patrol Sergeant Mike Irvine says the driver was cited for driving too fast for conditions. A school district spokesperson said the crash happened as the bus was at the start of its run, picking up Morgan High School students. She called the crash a fluke that happened when the vehicle hit a slushy curve. The Navajo Nation is reporting 23 new confirmed COVID-19 cases and one new death. Tribal health officials released their latest figure Sunday evening, bringing the reservation's pandemic totals to 1,562 deaths and 40,497 positive cases. Navajo Nation President Jonathan Nez issued a reminder to get the vaccine or the booster as the holidays approach. He says an increase in cases after a holiday is inevitable, so it's crucial to protect yourself. The reservation covers 27,000 square miles and extends into parts of Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. KVNU News Time is 4:38.
Is your family visiting for the holidays, or are they already here? Well, they have laundry to do using your machines, and it'll take away hours from your family time. We'll send them to Mount Logan Laundry with the large 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers that dry 30% faster. They'll find clean, comfortable environment with free Wi-Fi internet and drop-off service, and they'll be back in no time. Recommend Mount Logan Laundry. They're at 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South. Mount Logan Laundry, the cleanest spot in town.
KVNU weather tonight, mostly cloudy, low around 30, south winds 10 to 20 miles an hour. And a slight chance of rain in the morning, rain likely in the afternoon tomorrow, high temperature in the mid-40s. It's been to 47, it's 45 right now at KVNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Northern Steel Building. Steel is stronger, more flexible, and more dependable than wood, masonry, and concrete. Plus, steel is often less expensive. See their work online at northernsteelbuilding.com. For more details on these and other stories, visit cashvalleydaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is financial advisor Clayton McMurdy from Edward Jones, bringing you the closing market report for Monday, December 13th. Equities closed lower today, giving back a bit of last week's rally that produced the best weekly gain since February. The consumer staples, utilities, and healthcare sectors outperformed today, signaling a defensive tone. Today, U.S. equities closed lower. The Dow was down 320 points at 35,651. The Nasdaq was lower at down 217 points at 15,413, and the S&P was down 43 points at 4,669. And in bond markets, 10-year Treasury yields are at 1.42%, and in commodity markets, the price of crude oil was down 43 cents at $71.24, and the spot price of gold was up $2.80 at $1,787.60. In stocks of local interest, Apple was down $3.71 at $175.74. Autoleaf down $2.50 at $100.59. Campbell Soup up 51 cents at $43.66. GE down $3.82 at $93.13. Home Depot down $10.16 at $405.24. Lowe's is down $4.14 at $257.24. Nucor up $2.34 at $115.55. Procter & Gamble up $2.21 at $157.67. R. Donnelley down 5 cents at $11.07. Thermo Fisher up $3.50 at $646.01. Wells Fargo down $1.64 at $48.56. Walmart up $2.54 at $143.57. And Zions was down $2.04 at $61.17. This has been today's closing financial market report for Monday the 13th, brought to you by Clayton McMurdy of Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 1309 North Main Street in Logan. If you'd like any current information, please give us a call at 435-753-0537 or visit any of our 7 offices here in Cache Valley or online at edwardjones.com.
Dr. Josh Red, chiropractic physician, explains how Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
A lot of our patients end up having autoimmune conditions. This is where their immune system, rather than attacking bacteria, a virus, or other bad things, it starts to attack their own tissue. This can cause so many different issues and symptoms throughout the whole body. The biggest thing for us at Red River is to identify what's causing the autoimmune response to flare up. This could be intestinal problems, blood sugar imbalances, cortisol defects, hormonal imbalances, along with something as simple as dietary triggers and environmental triggers. One of the most common causes, too, when you have an autoimmune condition is you'll have inflammation throughout the whole body. Not every patient will have the same imbalances or the same triggers, and so we have to customize a very personalized treatment plan in order for these patients to feel better.
Schedule your appointment today at 855-55-RIVER. Red River Health and Wellness with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. If you'd like to know more about the Omicron variant and what researchers know so far, the Utah Department of Health has a great resource at coronavirus.utah.gov you can download there, but also just some great reporting out there as we learn more about the variant. And this is a variant with its own variant due to the fact that there are, in some spotted forms of the virus, up to 50 new mutations. Yeah, it's concerning stuff, but so far, as I said, the earliest results of research are encouraging on some fronts, not so on the other. And it comes down to the same thing again and again. The less spreading of the virus there is, the less chance for mutation there is, and the higher the likelihood that vaccines available now will remain effective. But again, with Omicron, it does look like it is indifferent towards natural immunity, with high reinfection rates of those in South Africa where it was first discovered. who had had the virus but had not been vaccinated. So, yeah, it's coming our way, just like the Delta variant did. It will be the prominent, at least, maybe not dominant like Delta. But again, all this information at coronavirus.utah.gov, and appreciate the doctors, the Utah Department of Health, for honoring my request. As far as they know, I'm just some random guy on the radio, but they were great to send along the information that they've received as far as Omicron goes to help answer listeners' questions about what we know so far. So, the governor yesterday hosted a budget announcement event, not a unique thing. All governors do this every year ahead of the legislative session. And the tradition here in Utah is for the governor to propose a budget and for the legislature to basically ignore it if they choose to. And it's unfortunate because Governor Herbert, Cox's predecessor, proposed some pretty decent budgets when it came to education spending and more. The legislature sometimes listened, sometimes didn't. We'll see what they decide to do with Cox's budget. This is a big budget. The state's budget overall is, multi-billion-dollar budget each year. But the governor basically laying out a plan to deal with ongoing water crisis and drought, to deal with ongoing housing issues, including homelessness in some of the more populated areas of the state, including Cache Valley, and also looking at the good economy the state's enjoying right now and how revenue collected by the state from that can be purposed to, as the governor said, plan ahead 50 years. He held this event at Antelope Island, and the reason he did that is he said the Great Salt Lake right now stands as an example of the issues facing Utah. It's threatened officially at this point by drought and also by development and by our use of water from the tributary sources of the Great Salt Lake, and population growth expected to double in the next 40 years. The governor said these challenges are going to take sacrifice and planning. He started the event, though, with a simple question. He talked yesterday, again, at the podium set up there at Antelope Island. He said, a lot of the successes we're enjoying right now are because of planning that was done well 50 years ago. And, he asked this question.
What are we doing? What are the sacrifices that we're making today? What are the important decisions that we're making today to make sure that 50 years from now, our grandchildren and those that are coming after us have the opportunity to stand at a podium like this and say, we have the best economy in the country, and we have a very high quality of life, and we have enough water to do the things that we need to do. And so as we talk about our proposal today and recognize that that's what it is a proposal, I hope people will pay attention to that thread, the decisions we're making today that will benefit future generations. And really there are three areas where I think we will do that. The first is by investing in our people. So you're going to hear a tremendous amount about investment in our people. That comes in the way we invest in education, the way we invest in upskilling our workers, the way we invest in giving back to those that are struggling in our communities. You will also see us invest in infrastructure. We know that infrastructure is the key. Again, we're benefiting from developments that were made, infrastructure investments that were made many years ago, and we have to make sure that we are making those same investments, that we have the water infrastructure we need, and we'll talk more about that in just a moment. And then finally, we make a financial investment by not overspending, by not borrowing money when we don't have to. We are going to pay down debt in this budget, and we are going to prepay some obligations, or propose to prepay some obligations, so that we aren't putting the burden of our needs and wants today on future generations. That will also free up bonding capacity for future generations if there are very important projects that they need to do when we're no longer in office. and will also save them lots of money as they don't have to pay the debt on those obligations moving forward. So with that, let me begin by one of the ways that we can invest in our people today, and that is by giving some money back. I should probably start by saying that we have some significant growth in the budget this year that allows us to give money back and to do some different things. We have approximately $1.16 billion in ongoing revenue in both the general and education funds, with another $1.87 billion in growth in one-time monies from the general fund and education funds that we are able to implement in this budget. Now, I should point out that a significant chunk of this, about 40%, is mandated by law to pay for certain things like education, social services, reserve fund deposits. So 40% of the budget right off the top is earmarked for all of those different things. I will also point out that this will allow us to have the largest rainy day funds, the largest savings funds in our state's history, and we're excited about that as well as we're prepared for difficult things that may come in the future. Now, as a result of this very healthy budget, we are recommending a $160 million tax cut in the form of a refundable grocery tax credit. Now, there are a couple tax proposals that have been floating around out there. One is to just remove the sales tax on food, and the other one is to reduce the income tax. Both of those are very valid proposals. They're good proposals. There are some positives to both of them. We think there are some negatives to both of them as well, and we believe that a refundable grocery tax credit is actually the best of both worlds. We're very concerned about inflation, and specifically concerned about the way inflation impacts our middle and lower income folks in the state of Utah, especially families. This is a proposal that will benefit families with children. The bigger the family, the more the benefit. This refundable tax credit, this refundable grocery tax credit, if I just want to point out a couple scenarios, and we have a chart here that lays that out a little bit. I'll give you two different scenarios and why we think that this is a better way to go. The first one is a larger family. We have many of those in Utah. So imagine 2 parents and 6 kids, a family of 8, making $100,000 a year. Under our proposal, this family would receive a tax credit of a $400 benefit. If we had just removed the sales tax on food, they would have received a benefit of $85, and let me get this right. I was looking at the wrong numbers. I was giving the second scenario first. Let me back up and give you the first scenario. Okay. Cutting the food tax would result in a $185 benefit for this two-parent household with 6 kids, while our proposed grocery tax credit would provide a benefit of $400. Now, for a single parent with 2 children making $20,000 a year, so this is a single mom, 2 kids, really struggling, only $20,000 a year, cutting the food tax rate would provide that family an extra $85 a year, while our grocery tax credit would provide a $240 benefit. And of course, that family would not receive anything from an income tax decrease because they do not pay any income tax.
The governor said that offering the tax relief in the form of a grocery tax rebate, basically an annual thing when you file your taxes, would provide more money, as he just pointed out there, but he also said would be a far more stable, future-proof way to provide help to these families, as is the goal of the lawmakers proposing a complete end to the grocery tax itself. This didn't get a lot of attention in the governor's budget, as announced yesterday. By the way, you can download this entire thing at the website of the Governor's Office of Planning and Budgeting, which is GOPB, Planning and Budgeting, gopb.utah.gov, and I've linked to that on our own Facebook page as well, if you'd like to find it there. But in this discussion of the future, Governor talked a lot about the state of the economy. Things are looking pretty good, he said several times. And then he also mentioned that there are some planning ahead needs. And then he kind of surprised me, at least. Again, this didn't get a lot of play in the news stories yesterday as this announcement was made at Antelope Island of this new budget being unveiled. But he talked a little bit about a obscure funding procedure that is heavily used here in Utah, which is basically earmarking. They don't like to call it that, Utah lawmakers, of course, but it's what it is. Utah has a process of earmarking money for certain things. So, for example, the governor pointed this out. A recent education fund earmarks were included with general fund earmarks. So more than $1.2 billion in general state revenue, which included, the governor pointed out, $961 million from sales tax, will be earmarked for the education fund. That isn't a bad thing in and of itself, but the governor's budget details that these programs will be funded with earmarked revenues that don't compete against other state needs. That's great. But the potential result is that it's less efficient allocation of state dollars. The governor said such earmarks tend to become viewed as captured revenue belonging only to those benefiting from the earmarks, and rather than as general taxpayer dollars focused on highest priority any given year. So the governor also in this budget recommends that lawmakers reduce or actually repeal previous earmarks that have been set to add some budget flexibility. Expect this one to become a fight. One of the reasons earmarks are popular is that interest groups, and I'm talking interest groups that should be listened to, like education, for example, they worry that if there's too much flexibility in the budget, opportunistic lawmakers any given year, especially in an election year, might be willing to kick some cans down the road, underfund some things in order to paint a rosier picture that year while they run for re-election. So earmarking is a way to, the theory goes, avoid that. The money is set for this in future budgets. Doing away with that, the governor is right, would add more flexibility. Adding more flexibility, though, does present a risk when it comes to that opportunistic politician thinking more that way than as a representative of people and their districts. So expect this one to become a bit of a fight. The governor says, though, another example of the need for this, quote, realignment and reset of the state budget, get rid of some of these earmarks and have more flexibility, is that he points to a particularly urgent need, transportation. And he highlighted in the budget, the governor did, fuel taxes are not keeping pace with road maintenance and construction costs. Cars are becoming more fuel efficient, a lot of different reasons for that. And that's requiring high traffic roads, those who use high traffic roads, to pay a larger share of transportation costs through these user fees. The governor said, I don't object to that, but is this the best way to fund our state long term? And the answer is no, it isn't, but it's what we're doing. The governor also pointed to a similar structure set up with water user fees that, one, can facilitate more efficient use of water, but two, if, like transportation fees that are being used right now, they become the main funding mechanism, well, you have some, what the governor called improper incentives at that point on the part of the state to, well, increase the fees collected. So the governor also tasked lawmakers with coming up with more stable funding mechanisms, which is a refrain we've heard now for 4 years. We'll see if that can gets kicked down the road yet again. You can go download the governor's entire budget in PDF form at the Governor's Office of Planning and Budgeting website, gopb.utah.gov, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
It's true, many of us spend more time thinking about what's for dinner than thinking about retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, we agree, and we'd like to help. We're Edward Jones. Together, we can give your long-term retirement strategy the attention it deserves. Contact your local Edward Jones financial advisor to get started today. Call 1-800-ED-JONES. Visit edwardjones.com or stop by any of the 7 Edward Jones offices in Cache Valley.
Hey, it's Al Lewis. We all know buttons make our lives easier. But if you have sleep apnea and can't use CPAP, did you know there's a button that can help you go from this to this? It's called Inspire. It's a small device that works inside your body with just the click of a remote. That's right, a button. If you struggle with CPAP, great sleep awaits at InspireSleep.com. Inspire. Sleep apnea innovation. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you. And review important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
That is hour one in the can, but I hope you'll stay tuned. We've been talking about him a lot. We'll be talking about him some more. Audits in the news again starting this week. An audit of Utah County setting off some fireworks. It's a county often forgotten here in Utah because of its location, but apparently that has not been good for county government. Lacks of transparency and cutting the audio of an official meeting to quiet a resident. We'll talk about it in hour two here on KVNU Logan.